everyone, and hope you're all having a good day today. Over the last few days, we have had a lot of heat, but today, let's talk about a few topics with your host, SABIA KHATUN. We will be talking a little bit about the reality and Instagram, and how young entrepreneurs are today, and also touching upon some of the risks and opportunities, and also mentioning where bullying, some form of bullying, can come into it all. Today I have a couple of guests, and I'd like to mention that I have a guest who is one of my youngest to date as well. But I will introduce you first to Shahin Hassan, who is a chartered engineer, an entrepreneur, and also who is known for the BBC Apprentice candidate for 2019. Hello, Shahin.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome to our show. And I would like to introduce you. He is my special guest today, my youngest entrepreneur, who is also an A-level student. He is in his first year of A-level, so he still has another year. But he does something very amazing, which is freelance front-end developer in the UK. We will find out what that involves. It sounds intriguing to me, and I'm excited to find out. And I'm sure Shahin as well will be excited. But hello, Ahmed.
Hi, SABIA. Thank you for inviting me to the show. I'm really excited.
Good. Thank you for joining us, Ahmed. I know being a student isn't easy, and especially at this pandemic that we are in at the moment. So if I can ask our guest, Shahin,
Yes.
could you actually tell us a bit about yourself? And you have lots of other ventures behind you. It's not only one, and could you share with us and our viewers what it is that you do? And I thought you were one of our young entrepreneurs, but when I started asking Ahmed, I thought, okay, 17-year-old. No, sorry, Shahin, you're much older. if I can say that. So please, if I can ask you to share a few things with us about yourself and your ventures.
Okay.
And I think our viewers would love to hear a little bit about your apprentice candidate that you are in 2019.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to keep it quite candid, and I'll be open and honest. I personally, I don't think I'm an entrepreneur as such. All I do is kind of do what I love to do. If I have an idea, I will run with it. Clearly, I'll take an educated guess as to whether it's going to work or not, and then I'll do it. Clearly, you need to manage the risks around it. But once you've laid out what your plan is, just go with it. I've been working in engineering for the past 15 years. When I graduated, I went straight into full-time work. But the good thing about me was that I was able to work part-time as well in the family business, and that's where I get my, you can call it an entrepreneurial kind of flair, and that really helped, because on the weekends, I had ideas, you bounce ideas around with your family, and then you just did it,
Yeah, new ventures are blossoming all the time, over, decades. In this age of internet and technology, people are more confident, and they try to sell their ideas and hit the road to success. What kind of things do you think, skills and know-how will you need to, I mean, let's bring in Instagram in this, to create, a venture?
Do you know what? The best thing you have around you is data and information. I think those are the key attributes into any business now. Without data or information, it's going to be really, really hard for you to research into what you want to do. Researching your competitors 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even 20 years ago, that would have been a lot harder. But now you've got, the Internet of Things, you've got massive cloud databases, Google, Amazon, and you can research into pretty much anything these days. And when you do proper research, then you can, lay out your business plan or your idea from end to end, and that will definitely help you. So I think having access to information now is a lot easier, and that helps people. And you've got the platforms like Facebook and Instagram, which also are massive opportunities especially for young entrepreneurs like Ahmed.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, is it not really challenging to work for yourself? I mean, can you tell us a bit about some of the ventures that you have and how are you finding it?
So up until December, I was working full time for Jaguar Land Rover as in product development, and alongside that, I had some ventures, but it's not easy. You can't have a full-time job and sustain something alongside, and that's why I took the decision to focus on them on the ventures full-time. It's not easy. I'll be honest with you. You have to think about everything from paying all the bills to paying all the staff, rent rates, everything, and you need to obviously generate income to sustain yourself as well. And you see a lot of people on Instagram who have businesses and they do it from home. And that's a great opportunity because you are lowering all your overheads. If you could do it from home, great. But if you can't, and you have to operate as a proper business, then you're going to need space. You'll need storage space, access to other things. Then you'll need to operate from a premises, and that's when your costs start adding up, and you need to maintain all of that. So those are some of the challenges that you have.
Okay. Yeah, if I can go on to Ahmed, who is one of our young entrepreneurs. Ahmed, can you tell us how does this all work? What is it that you do at the moment, and how are you finding it, and how does all this putting your venture on a social media platform such as Instagram work, and how does it actually operate in real life? What's your experience? Can you tell us about what it is that you do on that part?
So I freelance as a front-end web developer, and what that essentially means is creating websites for other businesses, creating websites for clients. Not always does that mean creating websites. Sometimes it can mean working on their website and adding more features, looking at their business plan and what they want to achieve and implementing those digitally and on a website front. One of the reasons why I first started doing this was because I felt that in this day and age, everybody deserves a digital presence. That is so crucial in this age. And I really echo Shahin's points about information being kind of like the new currency. Information is crucial, and it's equally as crucial for businesses to have that digital presence for them to kind of expand in the market and grow digitally.
Okay, and let me take it in, Ahmed. You're 17 years of age. You are creating websites. Am I right in hearing this? Am I right in hearing that you've actually created and developed some websites for some people as well?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
You'd be surprised as to how many young people there actually are in this space, right, doing these sorts of things and freelancing. I think it's definitely experience, and it's been very rewarding, working with clients and learning how to communicate. It's also challenging at times because at such a young age, you have to be careful of not being taken advantage of. So there are lots of risks, but also lots of rewards there as well.
Right.
But I think generally I very much enjoyed working with clients, people across the world, people in Canada, people in Norway, who want somebody to work with their business. And I find that very rewarding.
Okay. What made you become interested in doing this web developing? You know, why web develop? You know, have you always wanted to do that, or where did that inspiration or idea come from?
Yeah, so it's quite different. And I think for everybody, that leap, that first jump is very different. For me, I was in secondary school and I wanted to kind of increase the transparency between our student council and students. I felt that as a student councillor, it was so difficult for other students to really know what was happening. So I said to my school, I want to create a website for the school so that we can tell other students what we are doing. And I want to tell the students the progress that we're making. And then just kind of hear from there. And people encouraged me to give it a try, even if it wasn't, you know, on a business basis, just to go into further. And I did.
Yeah, brilliant. Shahin, anything you can say to that?
That is awesome. That is really, really good. You know, you solved you created an opportunity for yourself and the school, and now you've taken it on to another level. It's awesome, and I might need your help.
Wow, there you go. A customer already there for you, Ahmed, you know, right under your nose. But yeah, it's amazing, actually. Come to think of it, I mean, how you were, if you were in secondary school, what age, Ahmed, were you when you knew that, you know, you are good at creating these websites, or this is what you wanted to do? Were you, you know, was it from the age of 11, 12, or maybe younger?
I think I was in year 9, perhaps, age 14, 15, when I first started playing around with kind of website making. It really kind of took off a year later when I started doing that on a client basis and working with actual people and charging. So yeah.
Okay. And whose guidance did you have, or, you know, how did you know to go about it, you know, so that people don't take advantage of you, of the things that you can do? You know, whose guidance or whose advice did you have that, you know, you felt, yes, I can trust these people?
I didn't. I went on it by myself. And obviously you have to ask your parents just to make sure, because, you know, they don't want you to ask where you're getting all of this money from. So I did ask, and they were okay with it.
All legitimate. All legitimate it was. Yeah. Right.
The platform that I used ensured security for me. It was mandatory to ask, for example, for deposits, and there were terms and conditions that we both had to oblige to. So I felt secure, and I was lucky enough to start off with clients who were trusting and who I could build a relationship with. And I think over time I built that experience, and I eventually knew what signs I should be looking for in case I should perhaps take a step back and ask some questions about, perhaps, is this a client I should be working with?
Right. Okay. Shahin, right. Can you add something on to some of this amazing stuff that Ahmed's actually doing? Some of your ventures that you have, you know, what kind of risks and opportunities have you faced? Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah, I mean, for example, I mean, let's take, for example, we didn't know that COVID was going to happen the way it did, right? That has had a massive impact. Yeah, it's had a massive impact on many businesses, including some of the stuff that we do and some of the areas that I've been working on as well. When I started off doing my, you know, renovation of this venue, we knew straight away that that's going to impact the business. So we had to think about slowing that down and then work on something that will kind of generate some income straight away. So then we switched to phase B, which was the cafe. So we switched to that instead, and we did that we turned that around in 9 weeks. and we got it up and running and operational, and now it's selling, or it's running itself now. So
Right.
it's those kind of risks and opportunities that you need to identify quickly, and you have to be adaptable to the situation. And this is what situations like when we're all going through COVID. These are the kind of risks that you have to be ready for,
Right.
and that's an example. And
I mean, it's a big challenging one at this pandemic, isn't it? I mean, before the pandemic, how would you say it was going for you, Shahin?
Before the pandemic, we had a plan, and we were working towards the plan. With COVID happening, we saw a 3-month delay in doing what we said we were going to do, and that included like the opening of a venue, setting up the training courses, the events, which I had planned. So some of those things have been stalled, and we'll be starting those things back up when we see that COVID has it's not going to go away anytime soon, but maybe 2021 we'll see things pick up again. But those are the kind of risks that we had, and being adaptable to those situations is key.
Right. Okay. Ahmed, you have started at the age of 14, to be honest, from what you're saying, with your website developing and everything else. I mean, when I did a little research, I actually didn't know that the Facebook owner, Mr. Zuckerberg, he was 19 when he started, and look where Facebook is today. Do you see yourself one day as reaching towards that, or do you find Zuckerberg inspiring in any way, or are there any other people in your life that you do find inspiring?
I think that's very interesting. It's very difficult to kind of predict these kinds of things. I feel like it's very easy. It's equally as easy to, start your own business, or that is very, very difficult, and you have to there's a lot of courage involved in that. But I think it's not necessarily reaching that kind of height or fame or power, more so than it is having some kind of impact. I feel like if what I do in the future is related to technology, which I hope it is, and I want it to be, then the most that I want to do is have some kind of impact, whether that is, being CEO of some company, I don't know, or just being, regular person who's involved in technology and doing some kind of good. That is more than enough that I could hope for.
Yeah. Oh, you sound too humble. What can I say? Shahin, can you tell us how you see your ventures heading?
Do you know what? I don't like kind of. I like to be realistic about things as well. So as long as
I think that's important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. As long as there's a plan and you are going in the right direction and there's organic growth, that's what will be the best way to kind of measure yourself in terms of success or failure. And if you see that there is, if it's going in the right direction, then invest more in that path. But if you see that, okay, this may not work, you may need to tweak it a bit, then do that as well. And that's part of product development, and that's what that's the way I've dealt with the ventures.
Okay. Can you tell us now, Shahin, a bit about your story of being the candidate at the Apprentice show? If you could share.
Yeah, what would you like to know? Just in general, or the process, or?
Share whatever you can with us. All those you know, I mean, there could be things that, you know, you've experienced that, you know, are not all positive, but then we need a few negative things happen to us to actually learn about us, about people, you know, about our
Yeah.
surroundings, you know. So when we have a trip or a fall, it's supposed to make us stronger and think differently or take a different
Okay.
path, you know.
Yeah.
So along those lines, if you could share
Okay.
with us.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of The Apprentice for a number of years. We all watch it on TV. You think you could do better, and how can they make such silly mistakes and stuff? But you need to be in it to realize how, it's not as easy as it looks. And
Right.
so yeah, I applied and got through the stages. It wasn't easy. There was a lot of competition.
Yeah.
And do you know what? That I like to be true to my personality and myself. So,
Yeah.
as long as you don't create a fake persona, then that's important, I think. And
Sure.
at the end of the day, it's an entertainment show. Maybe it started off as a business show, but as years have gone on by,
Right.
it's more entertaining. So, but nevertheless, I got on. I was quite happy about that. But yeah, unfortunately, I got fired in week one.
What happened? We want
Oh
to
man,
know.
you know what?
The hot point question, Ahmed. I'm sure you would like to know too. I mean, do you watch The Apprentice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
So
been watching it
Ahmed
for
and
years.
I, and I'm
Yeah.
Ahmed and I.
Well, yeah. Well, apparently I can't sell, but yeah. I think I can, but it's. Do you know what? It's a game show at the end of the day, and I'm not as entertaining as the others, I guess. But nevertheless, it was a fantastic opportunity. I enjoyed every minute of it, and it's been great since then as well. And many more opportunities that have been presented. So it's been good. And Lord Sugar's a nice guy. Having conversations with him, is quite honest. And yeah, the other candidates as well. Most of them were really nice. Yeah.
Right. Well, he seems like, what you see is what you get, and he is as real as you can get. That's how he comes across. Which I think Ahmed will probably agree on that as well. Don't you, Ahmed? Okay. So, what about yourself, Ahmed? Any trips and falls? I do want to bring in our issue that we'd like to touch upon. I mean, we cannot go into so much detail. You need hours and hours of time for that. But there's one question which comes into my mind is, as you are becoming successful, and as success sort of like is in your way, one after another, have you faced or experienced any form of bullying of any kind, or any kind of hindering of any kind along the ways, whether it's your idea that you're trying to put it on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, these social media platforms, or in any of your personal life. So I'll ask that to Ahmed, if he can share these things, whether it's yourself or anyone you may know, and anything we can learn from that.
Personally, I have not experienced bullying. I don't think many of my friends, secondary school and A-level college, have not experienced some kind of bullying. I don't think so. But in terms of struggles and hindrances, in terms of my freelancing, I have experienced kind of that. And I think this definitely does come with experience. And as with time, you kind of gain a better picture of what a good client looks like per se. There was one client, and I think you have to be very careful with these things as well. Given your age, you have to be careful about not be letting yourself be exploited. Being so young on a platform where the rest of the population is adult, at least above 22, for example, that is very scary. And that is very different. And again, you have to be very careful about not letting others exploit you. And whether that comes through them exploiting you for work, not paying you, that's something that I have experienced. And it is very troubling because you almost feel as if you have no control. And that sometimes is the case because you physically cannot force somebody to pay you. That's why you have to put in measures to ensure that you do have some kind of compensation. But, away from the negative, what that taught me and what I hope will teach others as well is that you have to be, number one, very careful about who you work with, but also number two, equally, you have to ensure you communicate. Communication is so important. And I feel like if communication was, properly established in a particular situation, perhaps the outcomes would be different. And I think, again, with experience, you learn these types of things. And I hope that myself and Shahin, who have kind of experienced these things as well, can teach others that these are the things you look out for. So, it is.
Yeah. Did you feel some form of intimidation from what you're saying, where, you took on a job and they didn't pay you? I mean, because bullying comes in many forms. I mean, some of them, they don't have to be verbal. They don't have to be physical. It can come in lots of different forms. Did you find any kind of intimidation from these people?
You could say, yeah, because it's quite troubling having to, for example, repeatedly request, repeatedly request payment, repeatedly request some kind of compensation. And instead of them, logically responding to your request, they go on about and kind of make kind of these excuses and kind of, leave you high and dry. It's quite troubling, and you feel almost very stressed. And as a student, that can be quite upsetting as well, because you have so many other things to be worrying about. And for me at that time, front-end development was not my priority. I had far more other priorities, but I still stayed. So there's definitely risks involved. But the experiences were quite upsetting. But again, with experience you learn, and these are the things that help you grow and become an even better person in terms of, for example, freelancing, being able to offer your clients even better services, and by improving your skills and your kind of interpersonal skills.
Right. Okay. And when you actually, I don't know, maybe post something on Instagram, do you receive any negative comments, not only publicly, but maybe, privately into your inbox or anything like that? Because, I know a few who have, and apparently it's one of those things, unfortunately, we have to face sometimes, and people are facing. Have you had anything like that happen to you?
I have not, but I have known it happen to quite people close to me, friends and family. It is quite a strange thing that there's a platform and there's a world that exists online where somebody can say something and there's nothing you can do about it. From the perspective that you cannot tell them, I don't want you commenting. And that's why we have these, new features that Instagram and other platforms are including, where you can block certain people and hide them and prevent them from, for example, commenting about you. You have to be very careful with these things. And I think this happens to a lot of young people and even adults as well. And I think this is where it becomes a duty of others, friends and family, who can step in and say, I'm ready to provide you some kind of support. But like you said, this is an important issue and it's quite prevalent. And it's also the job of, schools and other organizations to educate young people on how to deal with this. I feel like when young people don't know how to deal with this, they take matters into their own hands. And that is where it starts to kind of become even worse.
Yeah. I mean, it can provoke a situation, can't it? Really,
Absolutely.
Shahin, what about yourself? I mean, have you, found yourself in any situation where, it may have impacted on your self-esteem or anything of that sort in your journey of your work?
Yeah, I mean, what Ahmed was saying, I agree with exactly what you've said. He said, I mean, in terms of personal experiences, you may have, when I was working in Jaguar Land Rover or my previous workplaces, you may have an idea which you want to pitch forward, but depending if you have the right manager, he might help you, or she might help you, or she might feel a bit how can I say, intimidated by he's come up with a new idea, what's going to happen to me. So these things do happen, unfortunately, whether in the workplace or if you've got a new idea which you're pitching to someone. These things happen, but it's what you take away from that and how you react to it and how you address this, and it's about building resilience, building your confidence and self-esteem, and having the ability to stop someone in their tracks when you are made aware, or you've clocked on that this ain't right, and nip it in the bud there and there. That's really important to do that, and especially with our youngsters these days, it's really difficult, especially with Instagram and Facebook. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I rejoined Facebook after 10 years, and that was only because I went on the Apprentice. Instagram I only joined last year, so I'm not really a massive social media person. I've always just focused on my own thing, my close network, and that's it, and you can get by. But I think there is a place for Instagram and Facebook, and if you use it right, then it'll help you. But with respect to people who who may be bullying you, you need to stand up to them. And as Ahmed said, seek support from the schools, or even if you are working for a company, then report it to your line manager and take it from there.
Yeah. No, that is very, very important. I mean, if I can, I don't know, for our viewers out there, there is a helpline which I would like to mention, that if you do find yourself in any kind of a situation, and especially with our youngsters now, I mean, Instagram is flooding with young people with their new ventures. A lot are doing really well, and there are, some people out there who are just not liking it for whatever reasons they have. And bullying can come into it. But there is a number I'd like to say to our viewers, if you may want to make a note of it. It's 0808 800 2222, and it's confidential, and it's a helpline for especially the young people out there who are finding that there is some sort of bullying that they are experiencing or facing. I'll repeat that number again. It's 0808 800 2222, and they will be giving you advice and support with confidentiality, and it's all confidential, so no one needs to know. But sometimes young people don't know who they can turn to, and it could be another like-minded entrepreneur that they may find that, okay, maybe if I mention to them, hey, are you getting this kind of negativity, what do you do, or how do you deal with it? So it's always good to talk to someone on a similar level as well. And also, what I wanted to ask, both yourselves, Shahin and Ahmed, is, do you think with these new ventures, especially, I know Instagram ventures, they're finding they're succeeding, and things are growing a bit more because they're collaborating with each other. So can I get both of you guys to give me your thoughts on that, on collaboration? Shahin. that with?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I only joined Instagram last year, and Facebook I rejoined late last year. But there's a whole world out there, and people you can collaborate with, people who are like-minded, like yourself, and it presents an opportunity, and that's what it is. So you need to use social media for the right reasons, whether it's to promote your product. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're selling something, then use that, use that platform. It's another avenue. You meet like-minded people. Sometimes you may not have everything you need, but someone else does, so then you collaborate with that person, and that helps, and you bounce ideas off each other, and I've recently started to do that, and that helps me, whether it's a contact I need for something, or a recommendation. That's how you can use social media, from my perspective anyway. So that's good.
Yeah. Okay, Ahmed, can you tell us, maybe any experiences you may have had? I mean, you may know as well. There are, quite a few Instagrammers. I don't know if I can refer to them as that. They are actually collaborating with each other, and in a way, it's like helping and supporting each other to build up, and I think support is a key thing, in that. What can you say about that with collaboration?
Yeah. I wish when I was younger that I had, some kind of other individuals who were doing something like me, or who already had experience doing these things and could help guide me. I wish I had that. But I think now, much older, when I've, started begin to expand my network and, find connections in other places, across the world, and so many different industries, that has definitely helped to inspire me and motivate me and learn more about the world beyond just web development, for example, and beyond, London. I feel like there are so many great individuals out there, and just a simple connect on LinkedIn is the first step for you to learn more about what they're doing and how you can potentially work with them or learn from them, and even give them some kind of value. In terms of entrepreneurship, I have seen, for example, Instagram businesses, especially young people, collaborating. And I think that is one of the greatest things that is happening. I think it's so crucial for especially young people to be able to learn from each other and bounce their ideas off each other. And I've seen quite a similar thing happening on platforms such as TikTok, where you've had these, very young businesses showing even the most trivial things, such as them packing up their orders and showing, oh, this is what packaging I use. This is how I ship them. This is how I, give extra care to my customers to show that I really care for them, and giving them that kind of value. That really shows and demonstrates to other young people that starting a business is not that it can be demystified. It's not some very otherworldly thing, and it's very motivating, I think.
Okay, yeah. So support is so important, and what we're seeing is our young people, such as yourself, Ahmed, and even Shahin, are you? Sorry. Don't worry, Shahin, you are young, okay? Are young people spending time with the right people, who are helping them like build up? Or, again, I'm going to use the word hindering. Are you finding that, these people who you're spending time with, or, communicating with, are somehow hindering the kind of work that you're doing, and Shahin, if I can ask you, have you come across any situations where you may have found yourself in like that?
To be honest with you, from an early age, I've always, you have to pick, or what can I say, hang around with the right people who will help you get to where you want to get to. Yeah. So drop the friends that, that don't add value to what you want to do, or don't help you or support you. You need to hang out with the right people. That's not easy, but if you find that someone isn't giving you the right advice, or is being negative, one real tip is stay away from negative energy, and you may experience it, but if you do, then just kind of like stay away from that. That's really important, because that will hinder you in your development, I think.
Yeah, no, that is really important. You have a venture. Well, you have a is it a restaurant or a cafe called Tiger Chai?
Okay.
Shahin? Yeah, I mean that's fairly recent, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell us, what was your experience, with setting that up? And maybe our younger viewers can take on board some of
Yeah. So basically, the reason why I set that up is it's going to be like a collaborative space. So because
what is it again? If you can tell us,
yeah.
what
So
is it? A restaurant? Is it a cafe? What is it?
It's an all-day cafe, situated in Birmingham, central Birmingham, and and it's also a collaborative space where youngsters can go and they can do their homework there. They can use the facilities there. So there's an IT room as well. And the reason why I've done it like that is because when I was growing up, there wasn't anything like that, where you can use the facilities and bounce ideas off each other as well. So if you needed to create some sort of code, then you can use the facilities there to develop some code, because I think that's the future. That's the way things are going. And without collaboration, it's going to be really, really hard for you to pitch an idea to someone, to a group, to a company. And my area is about the Internet of Things and connecting smart products and services to the cloud. So that's where I wanted to create a small hub, effectively, of youngsters who are getting into code, whether it's to create a new product, new service, or a new connected play activity. These are the kind of activities you can do there as well. And and that's the space I've created. And the Tiger Chai is like an entry point where you can come in, you can chill out, have a coffee, and then do some coding. It just gives that nice, cool, collaborative space, effectively. So that's what we created.
Yeah, I mean, going back a few years, we had something called internet cafes, didn't we? Which were just computers there, for people who didn't have computers at home and to use that space. But what you're saying is, is that something, where you hope that to work with young people and encourage young people to sort of like come into an environment like that? And, would there be any, I mean, what kind of, I don't know, what can I say, in their life, is that going to keep them off the street kind of thing, and any of the bad things? How are you marketing it?
That's exactly the kind of market we're aiming at. I've spoken to a lot of people. I've gone into schools. I've done lots of talks, and there's a need for collaborative spaces like this where youngsters can come to a place and share their ideas, because it's not easy trying to bounce an idea off one another unless you've got some sort of space you can do that in. And if you've got some guidance from some some of the older members of the community who can come in and give them the advice, and that will be a great thing for us. So this is why I've started working with some other peers from different professions who will be coming in to give them advice and talks and whatnot, and using this space where they can do this. So we'll have people from engineering, from software, from law, from teaching, to come in and share their ideas, and they can pitch it to them and see what is whether it's going to be a good value proposition, and see what the next steps are. And it's people like Ahmed who will be coming into these places who will get that help, and that's what we're doing.
Brilliant. Well, Ahmed's in London and you're in Birmingham. So do we have anything that maybe you could be thinking of, doing something in London maybe, or, I know you've started in Birmingham. And also, before you answer that, are you marketing it and putting it out on, Instagram and places like that where the young entrepreneurs or young people, are buzzing, if I can use that word?
No, absolutely. So I haven't started to do the kind of promotions or the marketing just yet, but it's part of the plan, which we are going to do. And to answer the first question about other places like from Ahmed from London, there's nothing stopping people like Ahmed doing video conferencing and tapping into some of the resources that we have. But equally, once COVID is once we're out of COVID in the next few months, if I could say that, then Ahmed can travel to Birmingham if he needed to access some of the equipment that we have, such as soldering irons, PCB boards, things you need to build something, whether it's a product or some of the 3D tool making that we'll have also in the tool room.
So, Ahmed, what do you think about that? I mean, obviously, what it sounds like from both of you is you're doing what you're passionate about, what you enjoy doing and what you're good at. Is that how it, should be? I mean, reality-wise, I feel and I believe that's how, everything should be. If you enjoy something, if you've got an interest in something, go ahead and utilize that skill, that ability that you have. If, you don't have to be a web developer. It could be maybe arts and crafts. Maybe you're good at, painting or building a table, for example. What would you say to other people? How do they go about creating their own venture? Ahmed.
I think what Shahin is developing is absolutely amazing. As a young person, one of the best things that can be done for you is have somebody to guide you and have somebody introduce you to new and exciting things that speak to your passion, that speak to your interests. And they have the resources and the tools, the equipment that you need to explore those interests. It's very hard as a young person, perhaps even as an adult, to just get started. It's very difficult to think, where do I get started? How do I, start exploring this passion of mine? What do I do next? And the internet is an incredible tool. But one thing that has lasted, since the beginning of Dawn is just speaking to another person, speaking to another human, seeing what they know about your subject or your interest, and then working with them and working with other like-minded individuals. I feel like that is absolutely brilliant. And there should be more kind of these social enterprises that can look at young people's interests, target them, market these social enterprises to them, and then introduce them to these programs, these schemes, these cafes that can broaden their horizons and really introduce them to a world that they are not usually exposed to, because the curriculum as it is does not include things like this. And it's the curriculum has not changed in a long while. And I feel like this is what social enterprises today are trying to change in our education system and trying to introduce areas where young people can learn about digital technology, about technology that they're not exposed to.
Yeah. There you go, Shahin. You've you've had a bit of market research without much effort today. Yeah. I mean, this is a 17-year-old telling you what he thinks of your idea, and I mean, like Ahmed was saying as well, he wishes that there were more people with similar skills as himself. Hopefully, to do any collaboration at all. I mean, what negative things do you think are out there? I mean, I know, Shahin, you're creating this hub, for the young people. Surely there must be some negativity that you will have to sort of like think ahead and have your protocol ready if anything was to go wrong. can you tell us some things about that?
I mean, this is an opportunity for youngsters, and of course there will be risks associated with setting up something up like this. There is always going to be some negativity around whatever you do, but it's how you react to that and do it in a positive way. And if you can address someone's concern, something that you don't offer but you may want to offer later on, then do it in a positive way. Feedback is really important. So if something's not working, or the collaborative team are not happy with the way something's working, then take the feedback. It's really important to then act on the feedback, and see if you can improve it for them, and improve the experience. And then also have some measures in place as well to measure yourself in terms of, well, what is the measure of success for this? Is it the number of people that have signed up for this course, or is it the number of projects that have actually got some grants from the government because it was such a good idea? So as long as you have some measures in place, and a measure for how you are, what an impact you have created for these youngsters, and that will be the start of something which you can then measure yourself on year, and I think that's the way we'll probably do it.
And while we are on the topic of reality versus Instagram, I just want to quickly ask both of you. People have thousands and thousands of followers. Is it very important to have so many followers, or the followers that actually interact and communicate and actually are participating meaningfully? Is it a number game thing as well with followers and subscribers? Ahmed, can you say something on that? And then if I can ask Shahin to say something as well.
I think when it comes to kind of these counts, these followers counts, having a very, very big network is how you grow. And by expanding your network and getting people to share what you're doing is how you get even more people to become attracted to your business and what you're doing. But one thing that I learned, just got reminded of, something called Pareto's principle. I learned it during a business in GCSE, and it's the idea that 80% of your revenue or your sales or your success comes from only 20% of your customers or your users. I feel like that idea is very, very crucial. And it's not always about how many followers you have or how many people are subscribed to your product or service or something like that. It's about the users who like what you do and want to know more and want to continue, following you and seeing what you do next. That is where you get that kind of the best growth, I think.
Okay.
And from my experience, for example, even as a freelancer, a lot of the work comes from a few clients who want to continue working with you. Not every single client would want to continue working with you. It's the special clients who see what you've done, are interested in what you do, like what you do, and want to continue.
Yeah, that is a very, very valid point. Shahin, can you tell us something about that? Should we just concentrate, these young people should concentrate on how many followers they have, or does it matter if they don't have as many as some people? What can you say about that?
Honestly, I think it depends on what you are offering as a product or a service. The key thing is making sure your product or service is bang on and it's working, it's flawless in terms of the quality, the service that you're offering. And if it's targeted for Instagram followers, then that's the right platform. But if you're offering a service which what can I say, like some industries probably will rely on Instagram at some point, but media, they may not. So regardless, I think it's important to have a social media presence, But I think the key thing is having a good product and service, and the people who want those services and products will follow you regardless. Okay, so I think that's the key thing, because it's all about the interactions, I think. So if you have 100 followers, but all 100 interact with you and buy from you, then that's the measure of success, because you've got 100% take on your followers. I mean, so that's what I'd say.
It makes it, well, it makes sense, because someone with maybe, I don't know, 10,000 followers, you're probably the one with the, a couple of hundred followers is probably, more successful because of the interaction with the followers and the quality communication that's going on. I mean, that's what it seems like, what's going on out there. And yes, if they like your product, whether it's food or a crafted item, then they will buy that. And, like Shahin was saying, you will automatically get the right kind of people following you. So we're coming on to the end of our show, and I think it's gone quite fast, to be honest with you. I hope our viewers have been able to take on board some of the things that have been mentioned, because there's a lot of information from both of yourself, Shahin and Ahmed. I think we learned today, and if you can both just tell our viewers, especially those young people who would like to open a venture, one or two tip or advice, that you may want to finish off. So if I can ask maybe Shahin first.
This is what I always say to all youngsters, and to be honest with you, peers as well, is to always have a plan, have the right people around you, and have an effective communications plan. That's really important. Another thing I'd probably want to add is don't be pressured into doing something. Get some experience in life. Go work for a company. Go work for someone. You're going to learn a lot about yourself, what you like, what you don't like. I've not been working for myself only up until recently properly, but I've always worked for someone. And even within the company, you can be an entrepreneur. That's really important. So use the resources that the company will give you, and generate the ideas. Get your experience that way before you take risks with your own money, because it's going to be a lot harder. So try that, but get some experience first. I'd say that to all young people, because what you see on Instagram isn't always real, if I could say that. And so don't be pressured just because someone else is doing something on Instagram doesn't mean you're going to be an automatic overnight success. It doesn't work like that. I think that's really, really important for people to understand. What you see on Instagram, I feel as though sometimes it's all happy and successful, but you ask that person, behind the scenes, how is it? What do you do day to day? Is it a 9 to 5 job, or is it a 6 a.m. to 12 a.m.? We don't know that. So those are kind of the reality checks which we should be kind of checking our youngsters with as well. That's what I think.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Ahmed, if you can tell us any tips, anything for the newcomers, new people, what to look out for. I know Shahin mentioned quite a few things there. So any last few tips?
I would say you have to be courageous. You have to be brave, because not everybody does this kind of thing, and not everybody has that courage to go out of the way and really dedicate and commit some part of their life to doing these kind of ventures and these businesses. I once read that the best time to start a business or a venture is when you're young, because when you're young, you have something to fall back on. You have school, which is the priority commitment. You have a family that you can leverage to provide you support, shelter, all of these things. When you get older, those things change. Those things aren't there anymore. You don't always have a family to fall back on, and that kind of safety net. So as from young person to other young people, be brave, and take chances because you have the chances and they won't always be there. And I think it's very important, like Shahin said, you have to be realistic, and you should, you know, seek advice from other people to learn about what businesses, what running a business really looks like, because Instagram is not the reality. The Instagram is what we want others to perceive, but that's because we want, you know, we want to be successful. But really, you know, the crux of it, how you're really successful is, you know, putting in the hours, putting in the effort. And before you go on to do something like that, you should be aware of what you are getting yourself into and what you should really be hoping for.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. Excellent. Thank you so much. I mean, there was so many valid points there, and amazing. You both have been amazing guests today. So I can thank you both for coming on and sharing your experiences and thoughts, and giving lots and lots of you know, great tips to young people out there. You know, Shahin, you are a young person.
Thank you.
I'll just say it live on broadcast, and you've done some amazing things, you know, behind you as well. And our Ahmed, you know, you are an amazing person. You know, what can I say? I'm sure Shahin will agree. I mean, with the skill that Ahmed has, I think Shahin wants your contact details afterwards, Ahmed. And you know, collaboration. I mean, what we've learned today is collaboration is a big support. And you know, being young and starting something, you know, try out some experiences. So again, thank you very much to my both of my guests. I will say goodbye to you both, and you know, hope to speak to you again soon. Okay, thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Shahin.
All right.
Okay, so viewers, thank you for joining me today. We've had a lot of information regarding being a young entrepreneur, and how there may be peer pressures, how there are risks involved, opportunities out there. And what's important, what we've learned is be brave, be courageous, and follow what you're good at, your passion, and you know, be with the right people, you know. And if bullying is coming in between that, you know, you've got to ask yourself, you know, am I with the right people, you know, and where do I seek help? Where do I get some support from? So don't be afraid. Do take risks safely. Know that there are lots of opportunities out there, especially with the right people around you who can give you the right kind of advice and support. Again, thank you for joining me, and I hope you will have a rest of, you know, next few weeks. You know, hopefully the heat will calm down a bit. But again, share what you like, and let us know as well any other future topics that you may want us to bring forward, that you'd like to discuss, and let's talk about it with SABIA KHATUN here at Vodcasts.